Hello, I'm going to show you how to do some UV mapping. I'm going to show you the techniques that you could use on a typical model. So for this example, I've been working on a model for a game. This is quite a high-res model. Well, it's 4,402 tries, 2,230 polys, so there's quite a lot to be unwrapped. Now some of these parts are separated as objects, some of them are separated as elements of an object, so it's good to work in certain ways, like piece by piece. So you can see here I've not bothered to rename most of it, but just by selecting on it, press J, I can see which part that is. I can also move it around and undo it. So let's go ahead and unwrap this part first. So that's the wing holders. I can just collapse this and I'll add the unwrap modifier. Now if you don't see this button here, it's because I've set this up my own way, which I show you in previous tutorials, and you'll find UVW unwrap UVW here. You just apply that and open the editor, and what you'll see is, you know, the default whatever mess that it's decided to give you initially, so that has to be rectified or fixed. Now something like this, if I press Alt Q, I'll get into isolation mode. Something like this, I can probably create a seam up the back here. So let's have a look at that. You can see there's some seam lines made wrongly here. So ideally, that could be planered off into one. So let's do that first. So I'm just going to choose the faces. I'll press F2 to enable me to see it in red. Hold down Control and I can select more than one. So with those chosen, let me just open the editor again. And you can see there's those faces there. But I want to choose this planar map, and you can see it's did this little square that's approximate to all the normals. I could try and align it any other way. You know, if I zoom out here, you can see it's just filled the whole UV area, which is fine. I can rescale it. That's normal for it to do that, and I can look and see which looks best. Okay, so that's fair enough as it is there. Now, still got the other side to do, but what I could do is just remove that and use symmetry again, and that'll make a copy of it. And whatever I paint on this side will be the same in that. If not, at least the UVs are done. I can just separate that alongside. So I'll maybe show you me doing that as well. Right, so to move this, I just want to go at the top level of the stack here and just move it aside, and I'll also scale it down. You want to make sure you're on like a uniform scale. Yeah, well, there's this kind of weird scaling thing going on, but I'll just use this one, and if I hold down Control, that will give me a uniform scale. So that's like a free transform. So I've dealt with that bit, I'll just move it aside now. So I want to create a seam down here, so I'm just going to choose the edges. If I hold down Shift, if I hold down Control, I can select multiple edges. Sometimes holding down Shift, it can select like a loop, or you can choose like this here and it will choose a loop. I just need to make sure it doesn't go too far. So here it goes all the way around, and that's fine, you know. I'll go with that. So what I can do is, if you're using Max 2012, which you should be, then you can convert edge to seams. And with that done, I can now select the faces, and I'll just select them all, apart from that one, so I can unselect in the viewer there. In fact, I shouldn't really have to do anything. I could just go up to tools and do pack UVs, okay, it's packed them out, but it's not done any kind of mapping on them. So let me do planar mapping again. And you can see it's kind of flattened them out like that. So I'll do pack UVs. And it's separated them. But it's separated the two shapes here. So what I'm going to do is just collapse this. To save confusion, I'll just delete this whole side and I will do the symmetry thing. So I'll re-add the modifier. And I've still got where I left off, only that I'm just dealing with one side now. I've lost the seam because I was careless enough to think that it was going to do something, but it never. So I'll loop that there. You see it goes all the way around. Convert that to this here. I can do a quick peel, and that basically just takes the two sides and breaks them apart. And if I pack the UVs, it kind of places everything in the UV area. So that's fine. I'll put that aside. Know that that's all part of the same thing. There's some weird little boxes appeared on this. I've never seen that before. So yeah, don't know why it's done that. It's choosing certain faces. Okay, just ignore that. Ignore if yours is doing the same. Just ignore that. That's fine. What I've got there is what I want. Now let's just close that. I'm going to add a checker material to this, and that just lets me know that I've done the UV mapping. Choose a checker. Do tiling 40 and 40s. Good number. I'll just apply it to the model and then click on this, and you can see that's pretty nice. It's a little bit heavier than the bottom there, but if I open up the editor again and choose these, I wonder why it's showing these little blue boxes, but never mind. If I do the relax here, you'll get them moving about in weird ways. I usually like to do by face angles, and that gives me a better overall lay. So you can see it's split at both ends, and maybe not see this inside, so it's good to have the seam there, but I might want to just weld this whole seam back up together. So best way I know to do this is to select this. I'm hoping there's no problems here. Yeah, select this. So these should line up. If I just go to edges, I'm trying to figure out for the life of me why I've got all these little tick boxes. Never mind. So Control T and I can start to weld these together. Maybe better using points here. And you can see the seam is gradually just it's going away there. So just weld these up. I'm not really caring about the state of this because I'm going to hit it with relax again, and then give me these 2 points. That's the 2 top points there. So I'm going to join these up. So let me see why I'm getting these. Why am I getting these little boxes? Okay, so I've no idea. I must have switched something on at some point. I've never seen that before, these little blue boxes around things, but for now I'm not fussed. They'll probably go away the next time I load. Right, so if I zoom back out here and I'll choose this, and I'll go to Tools, Relax, Face Angles, and Start Relax. There you go, that's flattened that out, got rid of the seam line there, pretty decent, good enough to paint on. Because imagine these were pixels, none of them are really badly distorted, so that's okay. So with that and that done, I could go to pack UVs, and what that'll kind of scale things a bit for me as well, or at least should do. Let me just check that, scale that up. Rescale clusters, so I might, yeah, so it scales everything to a good proportion, and I can go ahead and relax this as well. Again, face angles, and you see it takes on a slightly different shape, and it's turned these into squares instead of rectangles, which is what I want. So pack UVs. Because I've worked on that, I'll move it aside, because later on I'm going to put everything in this one area. So on to the next one. First I'll collapse that, and I'll re-add my symmetry. It should display correct, there we go, and then I'll collapse that. I'll get into the unwrap again. Should be able to see it there, back where I put it. What I want to do is just choose polygon and element, and then click once, and that's took one of them from this side, obviously, as you can see it, and then that's took that side as well. So looking at the model, that these here are the right side, so I'm just going to turn that around like that, put it on the right, turn that around like that, and put it on the left. That way I kind of know what side's what, and I can later just align these back up if I want. You know, I can I don't know if there is an align tool, but I can basically just put it straight over, and it'll use the whatever pixel detail that's in this one on that one, or vice versa. Same with that, but I might want to have one a bit dirty, another one clean, one with writing on it, one without, one with different, you know, decals on it. So I'll keep them separate for now. So that's that part done. So I'll just collapse that too, and that bakes those in, and those are done. Now I'll just exit isolation. And let's move on to the next part. Let's see, this big part's good. So you can see I've got all these different smoothing groups here, and basically how I made those was I just chose certain faces, like these ones, and I just went into auto smooth and just clicked auto smooth, and then just changed the kind of smoothing I want on those selected ones, and those will be different from those and those, you know, they'll be grouped into their own. So if I do select by smoothing group, you can see it automatically creates these. So there's a smoothing group with that kind of threshold on it. You know, those are all using roughly the same smoothing group angle, 45 degrees, and they're separated. And choose 2. That's using maybe 45 degrees as well, but it's separated. You can see how they kind of alternate. That way I get hard edges, and so on. So good thing about this is if I add like a turbo smooth result by smoothing groups, then it will keep those, and I can res up and get some extra detail. So it's pretty good for doing like high poly, checking if everything's round. As you can see, it's not perfectly round, so I could go back and, you know, toggle that on and mess about with this until a good method here is screen view. That way it uses exactly what you're looking at, and then you can move it face on looking at it. There's a little adjustment there, and same with this one. Look straight on at it. I did a little bit of moving things about here, so that's why it got a little bit distorted. So that looks pretty good. And basically I can just get rid of the turbo smooth, knowing that I've used it to help fix this into a proper round shape. So I'm just going to save it here. So save it. Okay. So F3, F4. F4 toggles the wireframe over the mesh, which I like. So we can see the poly count there. J toggles this selected item box. Right, so let's go ahead and do this one. Now, this one's going to be a bit complicated, but overall it's a kind of cylindrical shape. So I could work in it that way. But first of all, let's add an unwrap. Now let's choose our faces. You can see these seam lines here where they are and stuff. And maybe want rid of some of them and add a few. So if I go to edge, I can start to make more seams. So I make those seams. Okay. Right, so they show up blue. The ones that you've made through this method, they show up blue, which is fine. I'm not too fussed about that. Now, I kind of want rid of this seam line, so I have no idea how to get rid of it apart from somehow welding those together. So let's see what I can do here. There's not much I can do in this part. I really have to go into the UV editor. So what I'll do is I'll choose these faces. I'm just going to, like, back facing is already on. I'm just going to change the brush, the selector to spray. And that way I can just kind of drag over stuff and it selects it. You see here it's selected some unwanted stuff. I'll just check the see-through of that. Yeah, it's deciding to select. Even though back face is ignored, it still likes to select other stuff, so just be wary. Just go into your wireframe and check. Even small little polygons can sometimes get selected. Excuse me. So I've got those. I'll do the planar map again, and it planar maps it, so I don't really have to do all these seams all the time. It's just there in case you want to make seams and then do a pelt map on it. But I find this is quite useful. So once I've got the part, you know, selected the faces, done a planar map because it looks like it could be flattened if there was a plane looking straight at it. So like that, there you go, it's done the same thing, but it's not perfectly accurate. So if I add the checker to it, in fact, it's pretty damn good, but to make sure it's perfect, I'm just going to do a relax on it. And again, face angles. I could choose to keep the keep boundary points fixed, but no, I won't. I'll just do start relax, because you can see if I did keep them on, did relax, then it's kind of stretched things a little bit. Oh, so if I turn it back off, start relax. You can see the difference there. That's the old one, new one. It's just tidied up a little bit better. So close that, go to the top level and move that aside, because I'm going to work on the rest of it, so do bit by bit. And you can see how the checker's looking on the rest of it here. Now there's some parts like here, like this, you know, it's got no checker on it, and there's that, and there's that. So let's wonder why in a second. Right, so with that done, open it up again. Sometimes likes to crash and just disappear. That bit's done. Let's move on to the next part. I'm just toggling F2 there. So I'm going to deal with this part here. It stops here and it stops there, so it's not continuing all the way around. So it might not really need a seam line, but it does need some sort of guidance of what shape it is. Now I'm going a long way about this selecting, so I'll just go here, make sure I'm in orthographic, and I'll choose this. I'll just drag right through like that, and then I'll alt drag here. And there's also those I don't want, those I don't want. And it's only chose the one side, telling me I had ignore backface on, but I'll do the same again. Control, choose those, alt, choose those, alt, alt, alt. Get rid of these two as well, just to be sure. Right, so that's that's one part. I could keep going round and choose that part as well, but I want to make sure this flattens out on its own accord, and it's split by a smoothing group there anyway, so that works for me. Right, so with that selected, now this is a kind of cylindrical shape, so I'm going to choose a cylinder, and you can see it's all wonky like that. So what I'll do is I'll align across the X. It's got an approximate cylinder shape there, so that's fine. That's kind of what I want, kind of. And if I go to the top level and drag it out, you can see it's split up into two parts. It's put a seam line there, so I need to connect this up manually. You can see that edge lights up. I'm just going to move it over. I'm going to hold down shift as well to make sure it locks into whatever movement I started doing first, which was the horizontal. So it's going to lock into horizontal movement as I hold shift and move. You have to move it first and then hold shift. So move it to suggest the direction, like I'm moving up, then hold shift, and it's going to lock. So you do it right instantly, then you won't lose the offset here. So roughly select the area and do weld select, stitch selected. Okay, now you can see the checkers really dodgy. So again, just pick it, tools, relax, face angles, start. It's doing its best to unwrap it here. Eventually it gets it and does a funky thing, and then it finds it. So that looks like it's kind of done its job there, so I'll just close that. And you can see all the checkerings perfect, no seam lines apart from where I want them up there. So with that part done, on to the next part. Move that down there. That's my little, I've done my UVs bit until I'm ready, and I can shift them back in here. Same with every part. So just carry on doing the rest of it. Let's see. So let me deal with this big area first. It's a big old area. I'm just going to choose the lasso select here and just select. Let me turn back face off actually. Select there. Okay, so I've got the bulk of it, and you know, it's no big deal if I'm going to end up with all this, or is it? Now I don't want to just go ahead and do a cylindrical wrap because I'm going to take all this in with it. So I need to really take them away. Take all those away. Be as well as getting rid of the inner parts here because I'll deal with them separately. And these because I don't want them underlying what I've worked on. Really, I could separate things that are different material, so I could take away that. It's a different material, or it's going to be. I can even separate things that are different smoothing group, but I have to select things manually mostly. I'm just taking these faces away. Okay, right, so take those away, take those away. Boom, 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 boom. And do the same on the other side as well. Or again, I could split the model into two. Because it's symmetrical, it's not asymmetrical. Split the model into two, do one side, you know, flip it over, do the other, blah blah blah. But no, I just want to show you me do this as one whole piece. That way we're not being lazy with the textures. We're not doing like, you know, do one side and it's the same on the other side. No, this is next gen stuff. We want everything to be use up loads of data. We're talking about computers that are unlimited in the next, you know, God knows how many years, but yeah, you get the idea. Just go for it as if it's you've got all the freedom in the world. Until you've got that restriction, then worry about stuff like that. So back into front mode here. Take away these ones. Yeah, just make sure I choose again ones that I do want. Take away these. Okay, let's make sure I've got everything that I'm worried about. Okay, that's good. Now again, it's more like a cylinder. Go for the cylinder. Across the x-axis, press the X. And it's not good enough yet because those are rectangles. So you can see again, it's brought it in here. It's a big giant red thing. Can't do anything with it. Well, mine's crashes when I try and move it here, so I just have to go to the top level, then it lets me move it. But you can see it's kind of wrapped it round to like one edge here. Here. It's put the seam across here, and I don't want that. I want the seam either at the bottom or in there, you know, over to that bit. So I mean, what would you do? I mean, if you're going to be looking up at this quite a lot, if it's maybe flying in the sky, you don't want a seam at the bottom. You want to kind of, ideally you want to disguise it in with this and split it down there. So that's this part where it looks of it. So I'm just going to separate it down here. I'm just going to choose all these and do detach edge verts, right? And that's undo that. Actually, that's where I want it to be. It's going to come right round. Need to think about this one. So I want all this bit intact, which it is, but I don't want this line here. So I'm just going to choose a face. Oh, and it's just crashed on me. Doesn't like it when I do certain things, so it's okay, I've not lost anything. Just going to choose this face here. And I really want to add that one to it, you know, all these to it. So I was kind of right, I need to take this part away. If it lets me. So detach that. And move it over here. You see I've got a couple of these bits and pieces here. I'll just have a look around and see what they belong to. Sometimes you can end up finding stray stuff that you don't really see. There's a bit I never meant to select, but it's okay. It just means I don't have to deal with it. I just want to move it aside. So I can get the cursor on it. Let's try that. Yep, move that aside. And that one looks like I've selected the other side as well. That way. And this part, what's that part? Another part that I never meant to select. That's okay, I move that side as well. Can deal with those later anyway. They're still part of this mass of stuff still to be done, so they can go back into that massive stuff still to be done. Now here you can see there's a lack of welding, so I'm just going to select those two, or just select them all and right click and do weld selected, and that just gets rid of that. So this part I want to join up here, that way that part's not going to have a seam line anymore. So I've moved something, haven't I? Yeah, it's okay. We'll zoom in close as possible, and then just line that up with that, zoom back out, turn that off, choose these guys, and stitch selected. There we go. And that now puts the, if I can see this okay, that now puts the seam line just here, and then it's all kind of neatly tucked in there, and this is all free. So again, just tools, relax, face angles, start. It'll do some stuff, and it may end up in a tangle here. So when it does that, you can, I'll just close it to show you what's maybe happened. Nothing's really happened. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I had to click away. And you can see all this mess here. It's got confused. So how's it got confused? It's looking around there. Should be fine. So let's go. Those relax and just leave it on edge angles this time. You can see it's trying to do some stuff, and it's just going round in circles. So let's switch it now to face. It's kind of finding something. Back to edge. Face again. It's not really having any success there. Now that centers one never does anything for me. And you see it's just struggling there. So back to this one. Let's keep keep boundary points fixed. The mouthful. Start relax, and you can see it's made this happen. Do it again. You see it's made that happen. So we don't want to use that because even the boundary needs relaxed a little bit. So let's go back to face angles and do it iterations 1, and we can just tap apply to see what happens. Okay, amount's maybe too high. And you see what's happening there, it's turning it all inside out. So seeing as it's doing that, I'll just take this, detach, right, take the two of them and do relax, start relax. Ooh, after a while I found that one, but yeah, maybe that's too high an amount there. Struggling to find that one. Let's see. Yeah, it looks okay. Face angles, start. Right, there we go, that's what we want. Face angles, start. There. Perfect, right. So, got those two the way I want them. I just want to stitch them back together again. So I'll choose the faces I want. Oops. Okay. I'll try just a little bit relax on that. There we go. That's done the job I want now. Just straighten up. Decent enough. Turn that angle snap off. Just use this edge to measure it. A bit off there, touching there. You don't really have to do this, it's just because I've got OCD. Okay, so that part's done. You can see the checker looks decent. Doesn't have to be square to the world because it will kind of wrap around here and there. As long as it looks all squares like that. Right, that can go down to the done part. And don't worry just now that I've got small checks there, medium ones there, big ones there, because when I pack everything anyway, it's going to rescale everything to be the same. So as long as I do all this stage first, I'm just going to save it there. Let's make sure. There we go. Okay, so let's look at this part. I'm just going to grow the selection here. Let me choose these middle ones here like that, and then hit grow once. There. Open UV editor and click on this one, and I can move them away, but I've not done something yet. Back to face mode. Grow that again. Okay, so I still have to do the kind of mapping I want. I could do a planar map, you know, on it, and it's kind of got a planar map on it. I can kind of see it. Well, let's just do it again. Planar map. You can see the checks have come in. You can see it's here. So it's done it pretty much the way I want it. Back to the top. Move it here. Give it some relax. Edge, face angles is always better, I find. That's done a good job. Okay, and move that aside. And do the same with the other side. Choose my faces. I'll choose the middle ones. These are made up of 3 polys round and then 8 parts. So I'll just choose those and grow it, and it goes a poly out each way. Planar map is good enough. Back to the top level, move it, and face angles, start relax, it's fine. Move it aside. Move it over there. And again, yeah, don't worry that they're massive and they're small, and that's small and they're massive. Again, when you pack the UVs, it rescales everything, which I'll show you. So don't worry just now, we're still working on things. Okay, so I'll just leave that open, you know, it's no big deal. I'll just move it a little bit. Yeah, just move things about so you can work. So dealt with those. If I select all these, press F2, so go to face mode, I can see I've still got these to deal with. So, and that said, let me just lasso alt these guys and deal with this guy. So you can see there's a lot of little in and out parts. Well, there is here. I'm just going to take those away. I'll deal with those in a second. The rest of it is possibly doable, apart from in here. Take away all these inner parts. You can be dealt with. Okay, so what kind of shape have we got here? I have no idea. Now, it's kind of like a cylinder. It's more like a cylinder than anything else, so it could even be like a box. So, it's like a box. This is kind of junk it gives me. Don't like that. Try and align it across the X. Still a bit of a mess. Cylinder, a bit better. I can see bigger chunks there, why not across the X. And I think that's about the best one to go with. You can see there's some distortion here based on that cylinder. We'll go with that. Try this best align as well, see, that helps a little bit. That's just these 3 arrows here. Right, okay, go with that. You see it's just, that needs put over there and such, so that's easy to work on. So back to the top level, move that up. This is quite a long tutorial. I won't bother splitting it into parts. I'm just going to upload the full thing, and I'll likely finish when I've done this whole piece because it would take me too long. So imagine this was a finished piece, like kind of like a little submarine actually. Then I will stop there because there's so many parts to this. It'll take me a little while to do the rest. Okay, so I'm going to choose these faces, and I don't want to just move them about because they're attached to something there. So I'm just going to detach them, and they look like they go over there. This part here, I'm just going to detach that because I'm not too sure where it goes yet. I just right clicked and did stitch selected there, and it bounced onto that. Sometimes it grabs other stuff with it, so just be wary that it might do that. Choose these, right click and do weld selected. In fact, it might be this one. Yeah, it's got rid of that green line because those were corresponding parts. Now I'm going to go into face mode, choose these. Just want to see what part they are, and you can see they're this lip here. Now they should connect up with something here, i.e. that part. So let me just move that aside just now. Do a relax on this. So start relax. It's fine. Let's do a relax on this. Okay. Again, that's face angles, so it's fine. Now I don't want that little seam line there, but it's no big deal. But let's just say I want to stitch it back up with this, so I'm going to flip it round, but it looks of it needs flipped round. To check that, I'll just choose one of the verts here, and this one lights up blue, so I can tell it needs flipped round. You kind of get used to it, you know, over time. So there's a little flip there, bring it down, scale it over, back onto verts, Control T, and I'll just start to weld whatever lights up. And it'll just be these 2 parts here. Turn that off, don't know why it's doing that. Just make sure you don't overlap anything. I'm going to do another relax on it anyway. But I would just like to get them roughly right. Oh, there's a little split here. Probably belongs to that. Okay, choose all the faces. What's going on down here actually? There's a bit of craziness going on here, but I'll check that in a second. I'll do another relax on it. Where are we? Face angles. Okay, so what we have here is a little problem because we've got like we've got this bit at the back giving us a bit of problem. So let me choose these, make sure I've got everything right here. Yeah, it's just the way, I think it's just the way it's mapped it out. So I'm not going to choose the verts here because they look too confusing. I'm going to choose them here. maybe a few more there. Yeah, I think that's them. If I move them, I can get that area away from that area. But you can see I'm overlapping this other area now, so I'm just going to move them aside. Okay, back to that. Right. It wouldn't bloody deselect them there. Deselect them. Sounds like a Harry Potter thing. Deselect them. Come on, man. This is just stupid. Deselect them, man, before I smash you. Right, I'm just going to face mode then. That's fine. You know why it is? Because of this big dumb gizmo, and I've got some verts over here selected. See that? So I'll just undo till it's back there. Take that one away. And I've got something else selected here. Take that one away. Now, I should be able to deselect them. And move that over there. Because I want it back here, but I want to move the ones underneath. So move it there, that's easy for me to select. But you can see I'm kind of going against the whole relax thing. Maybe because I've kind of overpowered it a bit by wanting to, you know, weld all this stuff together, and maybe I should split it somewhere, but you know, why not? Why not? So move this back. You can see all this here is overlapping all that there as well. That's a no-no, right, that's fine. Okay, so everything's brought back into, you know, nothing's crossing each other, in other words. So I'll just choose these and try relax on those. Back to face angles. And it's coming back, it's went back to the same thing going on. So I'll keep boundary points fixed for this. No matter what I do, it's going to make a bit of a bum of it. Change the amount here. Let's hit apply a few times. Yep. So I'm not getting anything decent from this part. So I might want to just choose the faces in question. So let me open this back up. Choose those faces. Get rid of those faces. So these are the culprit faces. I'm just going to right click and detach. Let's do a relax on them on their own. Back to face. Now that seems to be what it's given me there. But you can see why it's kind of losing the plot a bit because of the sharpness of this angle. Ah, I had that checked. Take that away. That's what I want. He's gone a bit squinty. Okay. Doesn't matter too much. It's gone a bit squinty, but I kind of want to straighten up a bit, so I'll just do that to it. But that's it's a better looking finish on that. So I can go ahead and stitch selected. You see the rest of it's gone a bit squint there as well. So in cases like this, I'll select this whole element up here, bring it down as close as possible, go into my verts, turn off that, and start a target weld. Just looking for what lights up. If it lights up, weld to it. Okay, so I might have caused, nope, another one there. Might have caused a little bit of distortion runabout, but you can see it here actually. But I can mess around. Let's see what gives me the best result. I'll just choose the ones here. Turn the Control T, turn target weld back off. That's helped a little bit, so maybe select these. I'm kind of blending it into the rest, like passing the problem on a little bit. Now if I go back here, I'm going into basically just because I'm relaxing, it's making its way back to that original shape so that everything's, you know, but you can see it kind of progress towards it. If I can change this mount really low, I think the lowest is 0.01. But if I do mount 1 and do apply, it will do it in stages like that. But I'm getting nothing that I want. I've just got this stretch in here that's kind of bugging me a bit. You know, if this was a way over here, I'd have more. So maybe take these, pull them apart. It gives this whole part more area to stretch out, so try that. And there we go. Let's give it a bit more detail, but it's still not perfect. And there's some stretching and stuff going on, so best thing to do here is undo to the point where I didn't have it all welded like that. And I've got this extra seam line here. And now I can select this whole part and relax it as well, now that it's not connected. So face angles, start. Not to stop me putting it back together in here. Because that ain't too bad. So you will get the odd problem like that, and you will have to compromise. I'll go halfway here. Going this halfway thing is kind of crucial for evening out stuff, similar to relax. Now I could go ahead and bring that round, but you can see I'm starting to stretch everything, and it's fine the way it is. So I'm happy with that. That's that part done. Front looks good, back looks good. Now move that side next to the rest of it, and let's say, you know, oops, I'm better to choose element here. Let's say, you know, I had to go and have dinner, so I could save it. Exit isolation, just save it, you know, and it saved everything anyway. I could also bake that in. Let's say I was working on another computer, I could just export selected or whatever as an OBJ, and the OBJ will still have all this on it. So I could go ahead and start painting on that bit if I wanted. So I'm going to carry on and do the rest of the model. It took a little while. You can see how long it's taken to do just those parts. And there's quite a lot of other parts to be done, and then I need to pack them all into UV space. I'll probably show you a video when I've got everything. Yeah, I will show you a video when I've got everything done. Okay, so I'll be back then. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.